up your frozen dinners, grab your TV tray, and settle in for another episode of the Plus Platoon, your podcast for all things Disney Plus, brought to you by Disney Plus fans. Watch along with us every week as we cover all the new, the old, the good, and the bad on Disney Plus. So put down that remote, don't touch that dial, and welcome your fabulous Plus Platoon host.
Hey everyone, welcome to the Plus Platoon. We're a Disney Plus fan podcast that gives honest, spoiler-filled reviews of movies and shows on Disney Plus. We look at new releases, coming attractions, and we'll even go back into the vault to revisit some of the classic Disney that's on the platform. Make sure you're subscribed and you will never miss a moment. I'm going to bring in Kate. Kate, good to see you this evening.
Good to see you too, brother.
Next, we've got Peter. Pete, how you doing tonight?
I'm doing pretty good. How do you like my new camera?
Nice to see you this week. And we've got Steve. Steve, how's your week been?
It's been quite the week.
Yeah. So, guys, if you've not already, please like, subscribe, share. We got some fun shows coming up, including next week when we're going to be looking at a new release on Disney Plus, and one of the biggest releases ever, biggest premieres ever on Disney Plus.
Wonder what that could be.
Let's see. So this week, however, we are looking at the movie Rookie of the Year. Came out in 1993. As Kate mentioned, the same year as Sandlot. Both
Bold move. Bold move.
Both Fox properties.
Bold move.
It's not like Deep Impact, Armageddon, that were two different properties that came out in the same year.
And when was Angels in the Outfield? That was around
Next
the same
year,
time.
94.
Angels in the Outfield
okay. was Disney's answer to it, basically.
Got it.
But so tells the story of Henry Rosenbagger, Rowan Gardner, but one of the jokes is they never get his last name right until the very end. But is a hapless baseball player. He's 12, I think they said, and falls, breaks his shoulder and his arm, has to be in a airplane splint, which actually my wife can tell you all about. Looks like you're doing right turns so much. Then after it's been in there 4 months, the muscles have supposedly fused with his humerus and causes him to be able to throw over 100 miles an hour, which is interesting because, let's face it, it's tight muscles are not usually what make you throw hard. But and then it's all about he joins the Cubs because, might as well go Cubs. And then, okay, that's enough of that. Yes, you're laughing at me, not with me. I understand that. But
it was just on top of the headphones.
On top of the headphones, yeah, I know. But then he leads them all the way to the World Series leads them all the way to the last game of the regular season. They beat the Mets, huzzah. But in the last inning, all of a sudden, he can't throw hard anymore. And it's all about how he's able to use his baseball smarts, which we'll get into, to beat the Mets and make it. And there's Nick Nolte as a curmudgeonly old baseball player, and he's got a single mom, and it hits a lot of the tropes. So my first question, though, is this a good sports movie? Not is this a good movie, is it a good sports movie? And what we talked about sports movie was, and this is going all the way back to Mighty Ducks and some of those we looked at earlier, is you got to have some kind of an underdog that you want to root for. You got to have somewhat believable sports, and what's not believable is okay to not be believable. You have to be rooting for the team to win, and they need to win. So, Pete, I'm going to go with you on this one. Is this a good sports movie?
Oof. That's a good question because I think it meets all your criteria that you just listed, but it's barely a sports movie, or at least it's only about half a sports movie and more of a kid fantasy movie. It does meet the criteria, but I thought was very interesting about it is that normally in that type of movie you like get to know some of the players, and you finally you meet that family of players, and this guy's this and next guy's that. And in this movie, even though he was with the team for a couple of months, I think,
August, October,
so the last 2 months of the season, you really only get to know Nick Nolte, a little bit of the pitching coach, which was Daniel Stern. And he also directed this. I was surprised. I didn't realize that.
Yeah. It's actually his only feature film directing credit.
Yeah. And he did fine. It was, he knew where to point a camera, I guess. And the other and the main coach, those were the only characters you really got to know, which is kind of strange. And apparently there were only 2 pitchers on the team from what I could tell, because I never saw anyone else pitch during any of the games.
Yeah.
So, I would marginally call it. It's an okay sports movie. If you're really looking for a sports movie, it wouldn't be top of my list. But yeah, it's okay as a sports movie. What do you think, Steve?
No, I'm like you. It's barely a sports movie.
Yeah.
It's a fantasy movie that centers around sports slightly. Like there's like no tension with the team making it. It's a lot of stuff that's happening with his life and him figuring out. So I'm gonna go no. It's not a sports movie.
I would say that the parts that are sports that make it a sports movie is a very good sports movie. You've got, let's face it, who doesn't love the Cubs unless you're from St. Louis?
Or unless you're a White Sox fan.
Yeah. But now, ironically, the scenes that were they did that one game in Dodger Stadium, actually filmed in Comiskey Park, which is home of the White Sox. But it's the baseball part of it. I think if you could divide this in half, and the baseball part of it is a very good sports movie. It's every kid's fantasy to be able to go play for his favorite hometown team. Even, I would love to be a closer, because then you're playing just about every game. Realistically, him coming in for 1 or 2 innings, most games is realistic. Especially as a little kid who apparently doesn't have any arm issues, or has major arm issues, but they're actually what helps him. I would say the parts of this that are a sports movie is a good sports movie. Kate?
I think it's a sports movie. I think it's a sports movie as much as, well, maybe not as much as The Sandlot, but as much as Angels in the Outfield. It's kitschy. It's a total kids movie. It's campy. It's ridiculous, but it's centered around baseball and it talks about baseball. So yeah, I think it never really crossed my mind that it wasn't a sports movie. So that's where I stand.
Yeah, that's true. I didn't like watching it. I was thinking of it as a sports movie. It's only when we get down to the nuts of it that like the actual baseball of it isn't really a lot of the story, but it's still a major part of the story, obviously.
Because he doesn't actually start pitching for the Cubs until almost 45 minutes in to the movie.
Right.
So, yeah. Okay. Now, we've talked about how it is a decent sports movie. What about this movie connected for a hit? What worked about this story? Kate, let you start.
This movie made me laugh out loud several times. One of them that comes to mind is when the 3 young boys are talking, and one of them says something about a boat. Like, we don't have a boat. We have pieces of wood that are sort of in the shape of a boat. Like, that made me laugh out loud. And some of the banter I didn't realize that Pitcher's got a big butt. I didn't realize that was from this movie. Like, I've heard people say that before. I didn't know that was from this movie. But this movie, there were parts that really had me like laughing out loud. And I'll be honest, I was watching this movie. I was at Universal Studios today and I was watching this movie in the break room and I kept giggling out loud. And of course now, other than the boat thing,
most of Daniel Stern is hilarious.
I can't even remember what. And this cast, this was a great cast between John Candy and the bad guy from Home Alone and Gary Busey and
Dan Hedaya.
Yeah, it was great. Like, I kept having to go back and be like, how do I know this person? How do I know this person? I'm very curious if the main kid also auditioned for The Sandlot.
No, he did not. He did not.
He did not.
No.
Which is bonkers because he was the star of this movie and he has gone on to do other things and I remember him from other things. But like, it almost makes you wonder if he, like, even though he was the star of this movie, if he like kicked himself that like he wasn't in a movie that has become such a cult classic and in The Sandlot since it was in the same year. So, but oh my God, this movie's very campy and very ridiculous. It made me laugh out loud more than once. So I appreciated that. So Pete, what do you think?
Yeah, it's funny, so I was in my early 20s at the time this movie came out. And as you said, same time as The Sandlot, same time as Angels in the Outfield. I did not see those movies at that time. I saw this movie. It must have been on, like, I saw it enough that I kind of remembered most of it from when I was watching it. So I must have seen it a few times. And I liked it. It was, I can't say I had like a lot of like real loud laugh out loud moments, but I was chuckling the whole time. I thought it was very funny. I thought it was very entertaining. Again, the actors, I'm a big fan of Dan Hedaya, who played the I guess he was the nephew of the owner or something like that.
Basically the bad guy.
Yeah, he always plays a bad guy, almost always. I think of him as Nick Tortelli from Cheers. He was Carla's ex-husband on Cheers. He's been in a bunch of stuff, obviously. And anytime John Candy shows up, you're like, oh. So yeah, I agree with that. And what Derek said, like, this is like a perfect kid fantasy movie, where it's a dream of every kid at that age that's a baseball fan to like, I remember as a kid, you'd dream, it's like, oh, I'm going to play for the Mets, or the Mets need me to play for them, blah, blah, blah. So, I think, and I think the way it was done was really well. It was really well done. It was really entertaining. So I did really enjoy it. And Gina just pointed out that that kid was eventually in the American Pie movies. Actor. So.
Yes, he was.
He's still working, I believe. So
yeah, he
was on an episode. I just watched him on an episode of Grey's Anatomy.
Yeah.
So, yep.
So what about you, Steve? Did you
I think the lead did a great job. I mean, totally like fit the role. Was fun to watch. I, like you, Pete, remember watching this like in college, and I always get this one mixed up with Angels in the Outfield with the closing scene with the lofting of the ball. Like, I get those two interchanged. So seeing it this time, I picked up on things. So it was enjoyable, like how mom tosses the shampoo or whatever, the soda at the beginning of the movie. Like, oh, I missed that the first time. So but,
yeah, and for me, there's a lot of hits on this one. Daniel Stern as a director, I actually read a couple interviews with him. He said part of the reason that like they stick him in like that door scene where he's stuck in the hotel door or he's stuck in the cage,
right?
So he didn't have to be hiding behind the camera while he's running to hide behind the camera while he's directing,
right?
And he has actually said that he's directed some TV, but he said one of his biggest regrets is not doing more movies because he loved doing this so much. This actually massively out performed Sandlot at the box office by like $20 million.
It doesn't surprise me.
And
That's wild.
You also have to remember this. It also outperformed Home Alone 2. It also outperformed.
That's wild.
Yeah, that is wild. I mean, but you also have to remember Cool Runnings was this year, so there was Disney's sports movie. But this was also the year of Jurassic Park, The Fugitive, Mrs. Doubtfire, Aladdin was this year.
What a great year for movies.
And some weird one that takes place in the Pacific Northwest that the really good guy gets messed over on it.
Twilight?
No.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Oh, come on. You mentioned
Sleepless in Seattle, Kate.
Movie. Wow, you are tired.
I'm very tired.
Right,
you said Pacific Northwest, and for some reason I thought mountains. So I don't know. I'm tired. It's been a long day.
Everyone who speaks Southern, bless her heart. Okay. So while that's what connected for a hit, what was a swing and a miss? What didn't work on this? And yeah, Steve, I'll let you start.
I'm probably going to be in minority. I did not like Daniel Stern's character. It just drove me crazy. It was too over the top. I feel like all of his bits could have been totally removed from the movie, and the movie still would have survived. That's what was a big miss for me. It was just, I don't know. It was just, I like him in other things, but this time it was too much.
I would agree. I would agree on that.
It was almost like they tried to make him like earnest. Like they almost tried to give him make him so because it gave me Ernest vibes, but it didn't work like Ernest worked.
He was actually one of the co-writers of the screenplay on this one. But it was basically a portion where, and I read this, basically they wanted Daniel Stern in there because of the name, because he had done a whole bunch of big movies at that point. So, I mean, let's face it, this was the same year as Home Alone 2. So,
right. They probably were like, if you want to direct it, you got to be in it too.
Yeah. To me, the swing and the miss was taking so long to get him on the Cubs. The first 45 minutes, we didn't need especially because none of it was really used later. You get the feeling, because you don't really get the feeling that how much his mom had done for him. I mean, that's not there. The friends are really kind of there, but so what? Even the girl he likes, who eventually did go on to play the girl in both Mighty Ducks 2 and Mighty Ducks 3. It was the same girl.
Oh.
She was it Julie in those two, I think.
I don't remember.
Anyway. But just the fact that I looked at it, it was 50 minutes until he even threw the ball back.
Yeah.
So it just takes you could have cut of that first 40 minutes, you could have cut 30 of it and been fine. And made this an hour and 20-minute movie as it should have been and been great. Kate?
I understand that this is part of the camp of it, but the sound effects drove me bonkers. Like that. It's just like the sound effects. I get it. I get that was part of the camp. That was part of to sell. Like all of a sudden he has an elastic arm. So that just every time the sound effects drove me bonkers. I also felt like, did we really need the romantic love interest between the mom and the player? Like, was that really necessary? That felt a little forced to me. I get it. Like, he was trying to set him up.
The only thing I can say is it helped show him as a potential dad figure.
Yeah,
because I think in the last shot it does show that he has a wedding ring on. So I think mom and he
Okay.
did end up being married,
Which
is
that's
was a little.
great. I mean,
But
just it felt forced. Also, a mother would literally never sign a contract for their child and not read it. Just like, here, sign this contract. Okay. Like, that wouldn't happen. But mostly it was the sound effects. Pete, did you have anything else?
Yeah, mine's similar to yours. I didn't like a lot of the stuff with the mom, that she has this, I don't know how jerky he was, but like clearly jerky boyfriend, and she's just gonna let him like manage this kid who's not his kid. I don't know how long she's been dating the guy, but I didn't like how they did that. I didn't like all that. I didn't mind as much, but I didn't really like that they then made her the love interest for the pitcher guy. So just like, I don't know. The only thing I liked with her is that like it ended up that like she would tell him stories about baseball, and it turned out it was her that she was telling the stories about. I thought that was a very touching moment, but I thought she was just underwritten, and it was mostly about like who she was dating than about her. So I would have liked that relationship to be better developed, I think. I actually liked the parts with the friends quite a bit, even though, you know, they were very stock characters. But I guess, you know, this is probably like being older and watching things. Like, I'll forgive the Air Bud rule of, you know, there's no rule that says a 12-year-old can't play Major League Baseball, which there clearly is. But so I'll ignore that.
it wasn't back then. There was no age limit back then. But anyway,
Well, there probably was. But we'll give him that. But like the last inning there where he's like doing some of that stuff, I was like, I'm pretty sure these are illegal.
and that
things.
goes to my one thing I had not said. Hidden ball trick is a balk.
Yeah.
Because with how they did it is a balk. A, the fact that he was on the rubber. B, the fact they called time, and it's never time is actually not officially in until he is back on the rubber with the ball. The whole tossing it up and throwing it down, no one is ever going to do that. And the fact that him having the ball and acting like that and then dropping it on the mound is a balk.
Yeah.
So now the runners, neither of those runners are out. You've got runners at second and third.
Yep.
So it's just, I like the him throwing super fast. I don't care.
Right. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I'm fine with that. That's the magic of the movie, but at least follow the rules of baseball.
Yes, as a fairly baseball, as a very baseball purist, get the rules of baseball right. There's Major League actually does an okay job of getting the baseball rules right. The movie Major League,
right,
that one actually does a good job of getting Major. Don't get me started on the movie Mr. Baseball, because which is a great movie, except for at the end, he actually commits interference and should be out, and the game should be over, and they lose. But, so. Yeah. Pete didn't mean to interrupt you on this one, but yes, the playing fast and loose with the rules of baseball. No.
Yeah, that probably, I'm sure that didn't bother me when I was 20 something, even though I knew the rules. But as a older, more picky person, just watching it, I was like, I can't do that.
And I'm also curious, exactly how many strikeouts did he throw in those last 3 innings? Because I counted like 11 or 12.
Plus, well, no, those were strikes he threw. I don't think they were all outs.
No, because it was all different batters.
Oh, was it?
It was all different batters. And for him to have done it that way, either Chet's last batter had to have been the big super muscular guy. No, actually, for it to go how it said, Chet's last batter would have had to been the big muscular guy because, 9. Right. You got it by 3.
Yeah.
So anyway.
I thought that too, is like, wouldn't that guy have already come up once when he was doing that? But anyways, yeah. They ignored some rules, but again, it's a silly fantasy movie.
Yeah. And when I watched it at 12, I didn't care.
Right.
So, okay. I did some looking, and there have not really been sports comedies in the last 20 years at least. At least nothing that's not like super B movie budget. Would this movie idea work in theaters today, or is it destined straight for streaming? I mean, that's kind of my question. And Pete, I'll go with you on this one.
It frustrates me that there's no movies like this going in theaters anymore. And not just that being a sports movie, but like, you know, the mid-budget movie that doesn't have to make $100 million to be successful. You know, this type of movie, it feels like should still be. I think baseball is still universal enough in America that you could make a baseball movie today.
I would say it's even more universal, like in Asia and in like
that's true.
America.
Yeah, that's true. There's still a lot of places around the world that it's popular too. So yeah, I don't know why they don't do movies like this. I don't really understand it. I kind of miss them. You know, I mean, feel good sports movies are a big portion of cinema throughout history. And you're right, nothing much in the last 20 years at all. So unless you watch Ted Lasso.
But again, not a movie.
Not a movie.
Love Ted Lasso.
Yeah. So,
Steve, can you think they would work?
I think it would work. I feel like some of the storyline would have to change, focus more on the baseball trying to get, you know, into the playoffs or something. More focus on the friend interaction, which I think was weak in this movie. Right? Get rid of the bad boyfriend trying to get rich off of this. Totally get rid of that and focus on the more of the sports and the ride of that. So
yeah, although I don't know if you're looking for little kids, if you want to truly dive directly and make it completely sports. Just because I mean, like The Sandlot is not completely sports. I think, okay, Kate, you're too young. Does anyone, Pete and Steve, do you remember the Ray Charles Pepsi commercial that they were spoofing on that one?
I remember that commercial.
Yes.
Okay.
I remember that commercial.
It was Ray Charles actually did that commercial, and they were trying to get him to basically it to be lip sync dubbed over the top of it.
Right. Yeah.
But I don't know. As you said, Pete, I don't know that they're willing to take a chance on specific movies. I don't know that if they're looking, because so many people worry more about the domestic box office than they do about the international box office. I think the closest one, even remotely close lately, was the LeBron James remake of Space Jam, which was terrible.
That was I mean, it's
terrible.
Barely a sports movie, but
yeah. I looked, and about the last sports comedies are at least 20 years old, and even those aren't that great. You got to look late 90s, you know, 2001, 2002, those kind of years to find any kind of sports comedies that were even remotely successful.
Dodgeball was 20 years ago, but
right. But okay, kids sports movies. I don't know. I honestly don't know how the original Mighty Ducks would do now. I truly don't. It probably would have been released directly to video, honestly, because there are not. What I loved about
does Talladega Nights count?
No.
What about the Will Ferrell movie with the ice skaters? Or was that?
No,
Was
yeah,
Blades of Glory, or was it? Yeah, Blades of Glory.
Okay, I said good movies.
It was okay,
but I don't know. One thing I loved about this was actually that the crowd scenes were all actual people.
Yeah.
Like I know the one where like they said something about how like the one where he went out, they actually filmed in between a doubleheader, and they said basically Daniel Stern said, "Okay, we're filming this movie. We need you to chant this," and that's how they got the scene with everyone there. Otherwise, they basically had a bunch of extras that they would just move from left field to right field
That's good.
third base to third base. But you could tell that it looked like at least that they had actual people in the stands, not just because I mean, if you look at Major League, some of those when the top deck's empty in a playoff game,
Right.
but I would love to see them studio be willing to try, go on. I remember advertising for this movie. I remember, there were commercials for this movie. There were, trailers for this movie. I would love to see a studio go for a non-CGI, because Pete, you said this fantasy. I just see it fantasy as far as every kid's dream type fantasy.
Well, that's what I meant by fantasy. I mean, it was everything else was grounded in reality, but that's what I meant. It's a kid's fantasy to play for their favorite major league team.
Fair enough.
Right.
Okay. Okay. Anything to add?
Not really.
Okay.
I think The Sandlot could do well now. I don't think that the campiness of this movie would work nowadays.
Okay, that's fair. And I don't know if a baseball movie could domestically, if anyone would be willing to take. I think they'd have to go. Realistically, they're going to go basketball or football in America these days. Just as sad as that is. And let's face
it really is 20 years since there were any serious sports comedies
that weren't remakes. I mean, now when was the Adam Sandler Longest Yard?
Even that was, I think, 2007.
Yeah, so that's still almost
2005, actually.
Yeah, so that's been.
When was not Billy Madison? When was Happy Gilmore?
Like late
96.
Oh, okay.
There is a Happy Gilmore sequel coming out this year on Netflix.
Yeah,
I'm not
but
saying
again,
that
Netflix
be good, but
Netflix not general release. So
yeah, it's not going to theaters, but it's a movie.
I do know Daniel's. It's a movie or a series?
It's a movie.
Okay.
Well, that'd be awful if they were in a series.
I do know Daniel Stern said that there is talk of doing a Rookie of the Year 2 or a reboot with basically it being the first female pitcher in the majors. But I feel like they've done that. They weren't good, but there's been at least one movie that has tried that and it didn't really work. Mainly because if you're going to do something out of the ordinary, you're going to have to make it funny. Realistically, for it to be successful, I think it's got to be funny.
Yeah.
Because there's so many documentaries and dramas that have been released lately so as we always do, Cups of Pixie Dust out of 5 for Rookie of the Year, Kate.
I'll give it a 2 because it made me laugh out loud a couple of times.
I'm going to give this a 3. I enjoyed it when I was at the age that it came out. I enjoyed it again here. It's something that if someone was, if I think Derek uses it, if it was on, I wouldn't turn it off. So yeah, 3 is good. 3 is a good number.
2.5 for me. I'm sort of like Pete said. If it was on, I might let it sit on the channel for a little while and watch it. 2.5.
And I'm gonna go 2.5 just because if the second half of it is on, I'll probably sit and watch it.
Yeah. I'm just curious. What did I give Angels in the Outfield?
You gave.
Oh, I want to know too.
Let's make it all 3.
Okay. Pete, you gave Angels in the Outfield a 3.
Oh, I think I like this better than Angels in the Outfield, but I would probably move Angels in the Outfield down rather than move this up.
Fair enough. Steve, you gave Angels in the Outfield a 2.5.
Okay.
Kate, you gave Angels in the Outfield a 4. Not saying that's a win. I'm just saying that's where your rating is.
Great.
And I gave Angels in the Outfield a 3, which again, I would probably I'd probably watch Angels in the Outfield over this, realistically. If again, it's one of those, if it's on, I won't turn it off. And if someone says, you want to watch Rookie of the Year, I'll go, no, I'll join you in about half an hour, 45 minutes, and I'll come sit in then. And that's why it doesn't get a 3 from me, is I won't sit and watch the whole movie.
Yeah.
So, okay.
Well, we're all in the same ballpark.
Oh,
That was really good. That was really good.
no, it wasn't.
That
No,
was
it
really good.
He was
I
just
applaud
waiting for
that
that one.
That was
Oh,
really
I
good.
just thought of that.
man, that was foul.
Hey!
Oh.
You really want to get into baseball puns with me?
No, I
No.
want to talk about Daredevil.
No, we really don't want to talk Daredevil, but we have to talk
I
Daredevil.
do.
So Kate and Pete, Gina, can you drop Steve and I down for a bit while these two weirdos talk about Daredevil?
So Pete, I am so grateful that you didn't spoil Daredevil for me when we thought you were going to spoil Daredevil for me.
No, I
because-
didn't. I would never do that. I said
but
all I said
remember,
was you're
I
not
said, go
gonna
ahead
like
and
the
spoil it. And you were like, no, because I thought, because when you were saying, Kate, I don't think you're going to like this, I thought you were going to talk about, I didn't realize, and everybody who is listening, if you haven't watched Daredevil and you don't want spoilers, turn this off right now. You have 3 seconds to turn this off because we're about to give some big old spoilers. So turn it off. 3, 2, 1. They killed Foggy.
I know. It was awful.
It was awful. And literally, you had texted me and said, Kate, you're not going to like it. Well, I was thinking that you meant it was going to be poorly written like She-Hulk.
Right.
And so in the first whatever, I'm like, they're not about to kill Foggy. And that's when I was texting you and I was like, Pete, if they kill Foggy, I'm burning it down. And yeah, immediate first episode, 2 of the 3 main characters gone.
Now
Who is Froggy?
Foggy. It's
Matt
Daredevil's
Murdock's partner in the
best
law
friend.
firm.
Partner.
Cool.
So he's really like the heart of the show. He's a very much a regular guy. He's very
The moral compass.
Just like the moral compass of the show and everything. And like going behind the scenes, the original version they shot of this show, he wasn't in it at all. I don't know what the storyline was, and it was they had made it the original version, from what I hear, was a lot lighter. It wasn't like following the original series.
Yeah.
And so they actually had like shot the whole season and were like, this isn't working. And they went back and they brought back Foggy and Karen and the Punisher and a lot of those characters that weren't originally in this series. And I think it was for the better. I mean, a lot of times you talk about reshoots and they make a mess of the show. A good example of that is that Secret Invasion show with Samuel Jackson, which was, they tried reshooting it into something good and it was terrible. But yeah, this
Can you imagine? Sorry to jump in again. Can you imagine Secret Invasion before the reshoots?
Oh, I know. Yeah. But this has been, I mean, we're 4 episodes into 9 episodes, and I'm really liking it. What do you think, Kate?
I'm liking it. It's real dark. And I loved, I said, other than WandaVision, Daredevil, I think was my favorite of all of the series.
Mm-hmm.
This is very dark, and bringing in the Punisher.
I don't think it's as graphically violent as the original Daredevil was, because I am rewatching and I didn't get through it all. So I'm like halfway through season 2 of Daredevil and watching them side by side. The original is very, very bloody, very violent. And
yes, it is.
This is still violent, but it's more PG-13.
It is. I think it lost a little bit of its heart when they killed off Foggy and left Karen. I will be very interested to see how bringing the Punisher in works. I will tell you what, though, Wilson Fisk and as Kingpin, chef's kiss of a villain. He makes you, especially in the series that you're watching, he makes you almost empathize with him, and yet he bashes people's heads in. Like he is so, and the twist, my husband totally called the twist of, hang on, Derek. My husband totally called the twist of having the Adam character that his wife had an affair with in the basement. I did not call that. Casey did.
I didn't see that coming, but yeah, he he's always looking for redemption, but in the end, he's just a really violent dude.
He's a really bad dude, but
Yeah.
you weirdly empathize with him. And in my opinion, an extremely well-written villain is one that you can weirdly empathize with. Yes, Derek.
Is this pre or post when he gets shot?
Post. So this is
Post.
after. What was that? Hawkeye? Yeah.
Where
This is-
Echo shoots him?
This is after Hawkeye. It's also after the Echo series.
Did we have
It's
an
very
Echo
good.
series?
We didn't review the Echo series. I think I'm the only one that watched it.
There was an Echo
I
series?
might have watched it. I don't remember. Doesn't matter. I'm really enjoying it. I will be very interested to see where it goes. I do think it lost something by losing Foggy, but
Yeah, it's not quite as good as the original because of that. And also I think losing Karen, he doesn't
Agreed.
have the Matt Murdock character doesn't have anyone to play off of. Really, I mean, he's got another lawyer that he's a partner with, but it's like it's like he's really like on his own. And I think that having having a person or multiple people that are like counterbalancing him is missing. And I'm hoping they're shooting season 2, and I'm hoping season 2 they're gonna at least bring Karen back.
Yeah, I hope so too.
I really like that character too. So
there you go, Derek. We're done.
Cool. You're even finished. Cakes are done. People are finished.
Bada bing. I struck out on that one.
There are days that teachers
Ayo.
are
Done.
done. So, Kate, what do we got for Disney Plus news this week?
Oh, we've got Disney Plus news, don't we? I was just so excited about Daredevil. Just a couple things. First off, a second season of Light and Magic will debut April 18th. It will pick up where the first season left off in the early 90s.
I'm excited about this. I really, because we talked about how we wanted to see later stuff.
Yep.
Yeah.
So, we will definitely be reviewing that.
And Mickey Mouse Clubhouse Plus will be coming to Disney Plus in August of 2025. It's essentially a sequel to the original series, which ran until 2016.
I loved Mickey Mouse Clubhouse. More importantly, my son loved Mickey Mouse Clubhouse. But it reminded me so much. There were enough of the old Disney jokes in it for adults, and some of the humor worked for adults. I mean, and they used some of them remind me of the old Looney Tunes, where they would use some of the old songs. But Donald and Goofy had some very adult jokes in it that luckily a lot of kids did not understand. So
it was a good it was a good show for kids. It's definitely not something does anyone else have this though? Like almost everything I watch on Disney Plus, at the end of it they say you might like to watch Mickey Mouse Clubhouse. Does anyone else get that?
A couple of
I usually back out before I get that.
And for Rookie of the Year, they actually said Moana 2. So they're pushing.
No, Rookie of the Year they didn't, but it's actually a joke with us. You just finished watching Deadpool. Would you like to watch Mickey Mouse Clubhouse?
I will say, guys, Mickey Mouse Clubhouse is one of those. If you are a Disney fan and your kid wants to watch Mickey Mouse Clubhouse, you will not dislike watching Mickey Mouse Clubhouse.
No, it
will not. I mean, let's face it. I can literally do all of the different characters' hot dog dance. So, and I'm guessing Kate probably can too, because she probably had to at one point. But we will not be necessarily reviewing Mickey Mouse Clubhouse Plus, but I'm excited that they are bringing Mickey Mouse Clubhouse back.
Is it as funny as Bluey though?
In moments, yes.
There's no way.
In moments, yes. There are moments. Donald has moments.
Yeah, no, there are moments for sure.
So okay. Next week, we have mentioned it. We have mentioned that it was the biggest Disney premiere with I don't forget exactly what the number was, but it's like over 10 million views in the first 5 days or something like that. We're going to be doing Moana 2.
Yeah, and they also said that Moana, the original Moana, passed 1.6 billion views, which is crazy.
Yeah. So Kate, have you seen Moana 2? Pete, I know you have.
Yeah, we watched it on Disney Plus, so it was like a week ago.
Steve, you have not. I have
Not yet.
So I kind of have a feeling I know Pete has kind of shared a little bit of information for us, but 3 of us are going into this fresh, did not see it in the theaters, none of us saw it in the theaters. So, but that's what we're going to be doing next week. If you have suggestions on what you want us to watch, please email us at plusplatoon@gmail.com. I'm begging you, please. We need suggestions. Let us know what you want to see. Let us know what you want to hear us review. Message us, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, anything. We will answer and take any suggestion. Now, if it's not a suggestion we want to use, we will tell you why. But I've only refused one suggestion, and it was something that was not a suggestion that we would do here on this show. Let's just put it that way. So, that being said, we have new episodes Thursday on YouTube, all the major podcasting services. For Kate, Pete, and Steve, we got Gina in the background. Love to have Gina back as our producer. We will see everyone next week. Bye, guys.
Bye.
Bye.
Thanks for watching this week's episode of the Plus Platoon. Be sure to subscribe to the Plus Platoon podcast to keep getting great content each week. Then head over to Apple Podcast and leave those 5-star reviews, as they help make the Plus Platoon visible to even more Disney Plus fans. Also, go to YouTube and like and subscribe to the Plus Platoon channel, where you can watch all future episodes live. If you have a question for the Plus Platoon, please send us an email to plusplatoon@gmail.com or connect with us on Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram @plusplatoon.
The Plus Platoon is a Disney Plus fan podcast and is not affiliated with the Walt Disney Company or the Disney Plus streaming service. All opinions expressed on the show are solely those of the individual hosts and in no way reflect the views of the Walt Disney Company.
Thanks for watching, and be sure to stay tuned for next week's episode, because the Plus Platoon is to be continued.